welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Liz, a disability policy for all. I'm sure right now we are all thinking about the victims of Hurricane Harvey and how we can help. Today we are going to be talking to Jerry Alliston, who's the Community Education Director at the Institute on Disability Study, the Mississippi UCEDD. Unfortunately, he lost everything in Hurricane Katrina, and we're sorry about that. Today, we're going to be talking to Jerry about his experiences and how we can help. So welcome, Jerry.
Oh, thank you, Liz. I'm very honored to be on your show.
The first question is, given your past experiences helping people with disability during the Katrina flood, can you tell us what worked and did not work?
Sure, and I'll share this certainly from my viewpoint. And one thing I always say, it seems like it was a lifetime ago. Yes, we did lose our house. It was horrible, not the way we want to move, but in the end, we were so blessed in so many ways, my wife and I, and of course my children, and was able to move closer to the UCEDD, the main office. So there were lots of blessings with that, but so many people did so much for us. And you're going to see this, and I know it's hard when you're going through it, the people, in Texas and other areas, when you're going through it, you're kind of in shock and you're coping and dealing with it. So like the first 2 weeks after Katrina, I don't remember quite everything. And like I remember, the weeks after that, but you survive is the best way of putting it. But the positives, the nation, people, and the network, AUCD network, I had so many people checking on me, and I just started with the UCEDD. So not only people that were local, but just on the national level, I met a few people already. What works? I did not want to stay home doing nothing. So within 2 weeks, I was back at work, even though, I got a temporary place to stay, and it kept me driven. And we ended up getting a case management program, and disaster recovery became part of my life for several years. But going back and looking back from those early beginnings, the disability community, the collaboration that we have, and everybody coming together doing disaster recovery. And then the second part, I'll say another huge great resources was that whole long-term recovery process, which took a little while to come together, but it actually was pretty quick. But, and we'll talk a little bit about the law just a little bit, but every community had a long-term recovery committee, and ours was based on counties in Mississippi or sometimes on cities. That was a huge part, so people could get assistance, because you need that immediate assistance, but then that long-term. For us, I had to get a long-term place to live. Those committees helped greatly. That helped a lot. I'd say that's the main ones, and talk about those services, yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your story. I believe that it will help a lot of people. So thank you. The next question is, for those who want to help, what can they be doing right now?
Yeah, and people want to help, and that's wonderful. I think one thing we learned from Katrina was have a good system set in place on how people can help. And one example was that the Mississippi Commission for Volunteer Services that oversees volunteerism in our state, and every state has a program, they became the center for volunteers and the coordination of people coming in and the donations, because there was so much stuff coming in, great materials, things people needed, but you had to have a system in place to accept that. People want to help. It's just a nature of us, I think. And so we need to have that system set in place. So that was a great benefit. And so they're doing that. Of course, the churches got extremely involved, which was wonderful. Did a lot there. And the National Volunteer Organization, VOAD, Volunteer Organization on Disasters, they help a lot with that too. And they're actually ones that part of their thing is to get those long-term recovery committees in place. So the Texas VOAD, if you go to some of their websites like Texas VOAD, VOAD, they have listings in the National VOAD that tells you where you can donate money and do gift cards, or there's specific things people need. And certainly in the states as well, I'd say the DD Network, Developmental Disabilities Network, of course, the UCEDD, in our state it was Disability Rights, was our protection and advocacy, and then our Developmental Disabilities Council. But there's lots of other disability agencies, organizations, but communication again was key, and we had everybody coming together, and different agencies were taking the lead roles on different things. Kind of going back to your first question a little bit, but equipment, technology, housing, the donations from the disability world, we had agencies, organizations step up that took the lead in some of those areas and was a starting point, even though everybody was helping in different ways.
Thank you. For people with disability in the flooded areas right now listening to this, what advice would you give them?
Oh, that's a tough question, to be honest with you, because it makes me think we just had the anniversary for Katrina, and take one day at a time. And that's what we did, trying to process everything. Immediate needs should be addressed, your safety, avoid the flood areas if you don't have to be there. And my natural reaction was, I need to go see where my house was. And it took a week, and it was more a coping mechanism than anything else. And I'm glad we did it, but it didn't have to be an immediate need. We need to do safety and get everything in order first. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Help is out there. It's all about perspective. And, I mentioned Texas VOAD, I mentioned FEMA, Red Cross, Salvation Army, all these agencies and some of the religious organizations and others. Once a disaster happens, they step in immediately. So there's already lots of services and programs. So if you need help, ask for it. Then I would say definitely, this is for anybody, whether you have a disability or not, but, looking at, is there any equipment you need? Is there medications? Thinking about immediate need, definitely in the next 2 weeks. What do you need to survive the next 2 weeks? And then getting that in order so you can move forward for that long-term assistance. And then, it's all about perspective. And one thing I share with you, Liz, my wife and I had a disagreement. That's how I'm going to say it. Before the hurricane for Katrina came, and I was trying to find the scissors, what you get them at the dollar store for $1. In an argument we had because of that, I didn't think she put them back, and she thought I didn't put them back, and I couldn't find the scissors. After Katrina happened and we got to go down there and we went and we had a slab, I found the scissors. They were in the kitchen, what used to be our kitchen, on the kitchen floor, because it was a certain towel. And so I took a picture of that, and we use that. It's in my house, but that's perspective. Those scissors are important. It didn't matter who used them and who didn't have them. We were safe and sound. We got through it, and those scissors remind us of that. I know it's so simple, but things shouldn't be argued about that are insignificant. People are more important than things, is what we've taught our children since this.
And you're so right.
Scissors
are not important.
At the time, they seemed important, but no.
People are so important. Thank you. And if you have any questions about this or any other policy issues, please go to the AUCD webpage and look for this week's In Brief. If you have any questions or comment about this week's Tuesdays with Liz, please leave them in the space below. And we, on our web page, on our website, there's a whole links about how to help the hurricane of Harvey's victims. victims. And thank you so much, Jerry, for not only this interview, but being so willingness to be open about your personal story. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. It was an honor.